AI for us is about improving that resident experience, right? We're doing a number of things with digital voice, so voice AI, and we've recently switched to where every single phone call that comes into our call center actually goes through AI first. So we call her Amy. She answers the phone, first ring, a two-way conversation. She follows up in text and email.
This is the AI First podcast, hosted by me, John Herstein, Chief Customer Officer at Box. Join me for real conversations with CIOs and tech leaders about reimagining work with the power of content and intelligence and putting AI at the core of enterprise transformation. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the AI First podcast. This is the podcast from Box where we discuss AI and how practitioners are using it out in the field every day to make their businesses better, make their employees more productive, and to get more out of the resources that they have. So I'm very, very excited today in particular because we have two things going on. Number one, I'm joined by my guest, Philip Irby, and I'm going to have Philip introduce himself in just a minute here. But secondly, we're coming to you from the show floor at BoxWorks 2025. It's middle of September, and we have in the middle of BoxWorks, we've got some incredible product announcements that are going on. You can read all about them online. But more importantly for now, let's turn our attention over to Philip, and let's tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, John.
Yeah. Great to see you, by the way.
Yeah. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So good product announcements today. I'm sure we'll get into that. So I'm Philip Irby. I'm CTO for AMH, formerly American Homes for Rent. We are a property management company. We manage 62,000 single family homes. So we rent them for a year. We're not short-term rental. We rent them a year at a time. So there's a lot of logistics around, 20,000 move-outs a year, 60,000 renewals or 60,000 lease signings a year, 62. That's been my charge, is to figure out how to make that more efficient, to have better processes, make the experience for our employees better, make the experience for our residents better,
right?
More streamlined. So that's where I am now.
Tell us a bit about your background. How did you come to this?
Actually, this the third company that I've implemented Box at. I was at Arthur J. Gallagher for over 10 years. Implemented Box there. Then was at the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas for 5 years, which that's interesting because my favorite joke is I worked there for 5 years and got 20 years of experience because it's nonstop, right? Like it's very kinetic kind of
literally a 24/7 business.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
And so implemented Box there as well. But here at AMH, we are leveraging everything that Box does. It's integrated into everything we do. And all of our documents are in Box. So Ben was talking about today, and I've talked to him a couple times about things. And generally, the way these engagements go, when they sit down to talk to you, they're like, okay, where's all your documents? And everybody's got them in SharePoint and Salesforce and, all over. We've actually retired SharePoint. We've retired all Google Drive stuff that's there. Everything we have is in Box. And that's now, like years ago, 5 years ago, I started doing that and have been really militant about it with my team. And the whole time I'm like, you guys don't understand. Once we have it all in one place, then we can realize the value of it.
Right.
And now with what's happening with AI, it's I feel like a prophet to some.
So yeah, with that philosophy, you didn't even know that AI was around the corner,
right? No.
But we have this conversation all the time with customers now that if your content's still scattered everywhere, how are you going to have a unified AI strategy?
Right.
So you're there.
Yeah, I've done a couple different things with you guys, and one of the things that I always talk about, and Aaron was talking about it today, is we're all good at structured data, right? We're terrible at unstructured data, right? And so getting everything into one place is the first step. And so having done that, we stand on the precipice of getting all the value that we can out of our documents. So it's
we'll talk about some of the use cases and how you plan on using this going forward. Maybe I'll touch on a couple of things though. The company itself is only 13 years old.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you didn't have legacy, or did it come together from other things?
So we did have legacy. Our company was very entrepreneurial. There's times where they bought, thousands of houses in a month. And that kind of frenzy, right, creates a lot of, hey, we need to do this. Okay, let's go stand up this thing. Oh, we got to go do this. Let's stand up this thing. And so when I walked in the door, there was lots of disconnected processes, lots of email as workflow, that kind of stuff. The other piece about our industry is that there isn't a system out there for single family rental. There are lots and lots of multifamily systems for apartments and all that. And we use a lot of them, but they don't
quite
totally,
fit
they don't totally fit. And so when I came in 6 years ago, we started building a custom platform specific to single family rental. And we installed Box, and we're using that for all our unstructured data underneath. And that's really the transformation. The legacy that we had was just all those disparate workflows and things that are there. We're still having to unwind a lot of them. It's not truly legacy. Like, we weren't dealing.
Right.
We do have a property management system with a GL, and but it was built for multifamily.
But you don't have 30 to 40 years of on-premise data,
Right.
you don't have those things.
No, we're, as of about 4 months ago, we don't have a single piece of hardware in a data center anywhere. We are 100% Azure cloud, 100% Box.
Right.
Incredible. We have speeds and feeds to the offices. That's it.
Yeah. So you mentioned building, and I'd love to get your sort of philosophy on build versus buy, because you do a lot of building, but you're also buying. And so, like, how do you think about that as you're building out your architecture?
The first and foremost is open APIs.
Okay.
As long as you have open APIs, we could talk about it, right? There are certain things we don't want to do. I don't ever want to build a GL, right?
Of course. Or a content management system.
Or a content management system, because, what you guys do, you're going to be so far ahead of us all the time that actually takes a huge burden off of us on doing foundational stuff, right? So we've built our own microservice that interfaces with Box, and all of our documents from our platform go back and forth between Box. And it's simple, right? It makes it easy for us to componentize it, use your UI components to deliver micro front ends in a resident portal and things like that. So why build it when you've already built it, right?
Right.
The parts that we build are the parts that are unique to us, right? Like I said, single family rental is a brand new industry at this scale, 62,000 homes. So there is no software out there. So we're going to build what works for us, and then we're going to buy whatever can integrate easily with what we do.
Right. So anytime you're choosing something to purchase, must have open APIs, must integrate with solutions like Box, et cetera.
Yeah. It's funny. I've got some of my team members in the business and stuff, and they'll ask me, like, hey, I'm going to go talk to this vendor. What questions should I ask? And I'm like, the only question I need to know is, do they have open APIs? And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, just ask them. And if they say yes, we're good. We could keep talking to them. So
that's
very funny.
The first filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked about technology, but I think maybe even more interesting is your philosophy and approach to the resident experience.
Right.
Those are your customers at the end of the day. Can you talk a bit about the resident experience and how you think about it, but then also what are some specific initiatives and things you're doing to make that as awesome as it can be?
Right. So our CEO says, and I totally agree, we're not a property management company. We're a customer service company, right? We're trying to provide quality housing to people that need it, for families that maybe can't afford to buy a house today, but they want to in the future, but they want to live in the neighborhood where they want to buy a house.
Right.
And so we're providing a service, and then their satisfaction is directly related to, how well we create the experience for them. And so back in the day, 10 years ago, as we started to scale up, we innovated this concept of let yourself in, right? It's a self-guided tour.
Let yourself in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anybody can go to one of our houses. They just go through a Plaid IDV, give us their phone number, and they're in our house. We'll give them a code. They can get in the house. We started that 10 years ago.
Is there a light background check or just literally phone
It's
number?
IDB.
Okay.
And phone number, we do a number of checks. I don't want to say specifically because I don't want people gaming us, right?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. But we do check phone numbers and IDB.
Okay.
So they do have to match their face to their ID.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, identity verification.
Okay.
I'm doing my acronym thing, but so we did that, and then what we're focused on, we've actually got an initiative going right now, which is called See Today, Sign Today, and so what the end goal of that is that somebody could let themselves into one of our houses, decide they want to lease the house, and have the lease signed before they walked out the door.
Wow.
Right. So do the background check in real time. Now, sometimes this won't work totally because maybe the background check is going to take a little bit longer to come back. But for a large percentage, we should be able to get them into the house and get them signed same day. Right.
So that's sort of the North Star.
Yes.
That's incredible. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about like when my son went to college, I had to rent an apartment for him. And I was, it was less than stellar. We'll put it that way.
Well, you're engaging with a person who may or may not be good at their job, right? I mean, I can imagine there's all sorts of things that you run into.
Yep. And so that's always in the back of my head. It's like we need to start with the resident experience.
Right.
You know, there's lots of metrics, and we get all down into the weeds of all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
But we have to have the North Star, which is the resident, right? What's their experience going to be? And are we focused on them first, right? And so AI for us is about improving that resident experience, right? We're doing a number of things with digital voice. So voice AI, we've recently switched to where every single phone call that comes into our call center actually goes through AI first. So we call her Amy. She answers the phone, first ring, the two-way conversation. She follows up in text and email, two-way conversation in text and email.
But importantly, the primary conversation is voice.
Yes.
You're having a voice conversation with Amy.
Yes.
Who identifies herself as a virtual agent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
But sometimes people don't pay attention to that, and we'll get really good reviews for Amy.
Right.
Some of our customers love her.
Yeah.
So
call her back to see how the weather is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's incredible. So you said 24/7, one ring pickup.
Yep.
And you're having a conversation too. It's just for resolving maintenance issues or asking questions, anything?
Yes. In the future, we've gotten through leasing.
Okay.
We're starting into resident manager calls to have her screen those. The real thing here is it improves our employee experience as well, because what's happening is they aren't answering, the phone and answering questions that could be easily answered. Like, is this house still available?
Right.
Amy knows the answers to those questions.
Right.
So when it gets escalated to the resident manager, it's usually something that the resident manager needs to be there to answer. And in the past, they would have had to wait 15 minutes for that resident manager to be available. Now we have more bandwidth for them to answer the important calls that are escalated.
So you've freed up capacity of your people, your resident managers, and I would argue elevated the work that they do because they're not dealing with the very basic, is the house still available kinds of questions.
Right. Exactly.
And so employee sat's gone up.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
It's takes a little while for everybody to adapt, but they're everybody's seeing the value, and it's working very well.
And the residents are happy as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the experience that we have up until AI, we were very good at most of it, but we weren't great at the constant communication, right? So we would have a lot of calls where people are like, hey, what's the status of my work order, right? And so we approached that initially with just basic, online status, right? Like any portal that you're used to seeing. Now they could just text on the on the number that was there and say, hey, what's the status of my ticket? You're not just pulling static data, right? You're having a conversation, which is amazing.
Does every resident have Amy as a contact in their phone, and they just, whenever they've got a question, they're like, I'm going to just go ask Amy?
That was one of the things that we're working on, is getting her to send a contact card.
Right.
For whatever reason, that's not come totally up to the top of the priorities.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things I want, is for her, as she introduces and as we get further down the full roadmap, that we'll send a contact card, and it's Amy from AMH, and they could just text her whenever.
Right. Would love to talk more about AI, obviously. And you've talked about some of your philosophy around it, how you're actually using it practically. Well, maybe where does Box fit in? Where does unstructured content fit in? Is Amy accessing unstructured content today, or will she in the future?
She will in the future, for sure. So the way, Amy, if we talk true agentic architecture, Amy's going to be, integrating with other agents. There'll be the lease agent and the HOA agent, so that Amy could reach out to the HOA agent and say, I'm getting a question of, what are my trash days, or how many cars can I park on the street, or whatever it is. And she'll make a call to the HOA agent, tell them who, what the person is. The agent will look up the house, find the HOA, and then answer the question, right?
How does it done today?
They call the resident manager, and the resident manager has to go into Box, find their CCNRs, read through it, and then give them the information.
Probably have to look up in your transactional system which HOA they're a part of. Like there's a whole, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then and we've actually already sent them the CCNRs, and they could look at it themselves, but they don't.
Yeah. I might be guilty of that myself.
So, but that's what we're here for, right? Is to give them the information that they want as fast as possible.
So this question's come up a lot, of like the super agent versus the sub agents, or whatever terminology you want to use. It sounds like the approach you're taking is Amy's almost the super agent, the sort of orchestrator.
Yep.
But then the sub agents who know maybe just about the lease agreements themselves, or just about the HOA, or just about maintenance, or what have you. Is that the basic approach?
Pretty much. I think there'll be some, there already are some agents that we have for intake of maintenance requests. So we've changed it from you having to select, it's my refrigerator, and I've got this leak, and there's water here, and all that stuff, to just a microphone button that says, tell us what the problem is. And they say, well, my ice maker is leaking, or not making ice, and there's water leaking out on the back, and all that. And they could just talk. And then our agent then turns that into the appropriate condition issues and remedies that need to be done. And then that gets pushed on down, instead of they enter some stuff. And generally when you're presented with a list of hundreds of options, you just pick that one,
whatever the
or
one
other
is.
Or whatever, just to get the ticket in.
Right.
And then we have to turn around and call them back and triage and all of that.
So there's latency, there's wait time. Yeah. Okay.
And so this, it's like, just tell us what the problem is.
Right.
In plain language, and we'll turn it into the things that are important to us. Why are, the question, if you go back to resident first kind of approach, why are we asking them to navigate the way we do business?
Right.
That just tell us what the problem.
Just tell us what the problem is. Yeah. Because that's at the end of the day, they just want to solve a problem that they have quickly, efficiently.
Yeah. Without having to learn how we categorize things.
Right.
Right.
And is it multimodal yet, or will they be able to take a picture or video and submit that too? Or
yeah, they will. We haven't set that up through Amy. We have it through our web, mobile web and web, where they can take pictures and videos and add them to the maintenance request. But we were actually just talking last week about exactly that. Like, how do we take all the pictures and videos from text and have Amy transfer them in to our maintenance agent, to create the tickets, right?
So tell me more about how Box AI is fitting in, again, today and in the future. Are you plugging into hubs and Box agents, or how or what do you imagine?
So we are using hubs. We have been leveraging AI on that. One of the things that this is just new. our CISO and I were talking to the MX Hero guys about this. We want to get all of our information, the conversations that our different techs or property managers have been having in email,
Right.
and using that email to inform the agents that we're going to build for property management, right? So when it goes through the voice AI, we have to have knowledge for Amy to use.
Right.
And so we're going to archive our emails into Box and then leverage Box AI over top of it to start, find every conversation with a resident, and let's start to create templates,
Right.
and create knowledge so that we could train Amy to do those kinds of conversations. That makes sense.
It does. Yeah. We've been talking a lot at the conference about the importance of context for AI to be useful. And this is basically what you're doing. You're saying we're going to provide that context because we've already had an email conversation with this resident. We already know a bunch of things about them.
Yep. The other things we're doing are using Box apps to just do basic contract management.
Okay.
But the next piece to that is taking all contracts, right? One thing I didn't say about what we do, we also build homes. So we build about 2,200 homes a year.
Okay.
So we have employees that are construction managers. So we have a home building arm of the business. And so all the contracts, you can imagine, building 2,200 homes, we do a lot of contracts. And so all of those are coming in through Box, through the contract management part. And then we've also started doing contract reviews with Box. Our CISO has to do data privacy and all this stuff. And he spends hours and hours and hours going through contracts. These are just simple things that are great efficiencies that aren't that hard to implement at all.
And are you building specific agents on top of things like contracts to do those specific reviews or?
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. So because you could train it to know what we need to look for,
right.
and then it just does it. And then I have more time. I have more time with Nick to work on more important things like, the thousands of threats or millions of threats that are coming at us. Right. So instead of reading contracts.
Right. You love to see it. This is fantastic. So we talked about all the good stuff. Maybe let's talk about challenges, lessons learned. I'll ask at the end for a bit of advice, but for others, but what have you bumped into where it's like, oh, that was harder than I thought it would be?
Say the last part again.
Like what was harder than you thought it would be, or that you should have, or you thought it should have been?
I don't know. I'm kind of an eternal optimist on like anything technology. So I think it was.
So you assume you will find a way through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty much.
All right.
But sometimes I think change management is a big part because you're changing the way people work. They're threatened by it.
Yep.
They shouldn't be, because what we're trying to do is give them a capability to do more.
Right.
And like I said, and not answering the phone and saying, yeah, it's available.
Yeah.
Right.
So you'll still have resident managers. Their job will just be different and hopefully more interesting.
Right. They'll actually have more time to actually have a deeper relationship with the residents because they aren't doing the things that are just consuming their day.
Right.
Right. I think the other parts that maybe were harder, it's keeping up, right? Because some of the stuff that we are building right now is now becoming native in what you do, right? And so and what other folks are doing, the rate of change that's happening in AI, it's really hard to keep up with. So I think, having dedicated time, it's like there's all those cliches out there. It's like people aren't going to get replaced by AI. They're going to get replaced by people that understand AI.
Right.
And
leverage it.
And leverage it. Right.
Yeah.
I heard that at the beginning, and I think early on I didn't spend enough time. I was like, yeah, I'll get to that.
Right.
And now I feel like I'm behind. Right. And so
we all feel behind. So yeah, we're because even if you're not behind today, tomorrow you will be behind.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a stat this morning. Then I think Ben, our CTO, put up on the stage. In the last 12 months, there have been 15 leading commercial models released.
Yeah.
Right. Between OpenAI, Anthropic. These are crazy.
Well, and it's interesting how they're all starting to also somewhat specialized. Like Claude is known for its code
Yep.
side. And I think we're going to see some of that happen where people find their niche and, but it's going to move so fast.
What would you advise for other CIOs and CTOs, and what would you advise them to do with their staff so that their staffs also don't fall behind?
The advice I would give is, start with your goal, right? Our goal was a stellar resident experience. And because there's so much technology in this and there's so many rabbit holes for people to go down that you got to have that clear North Star, and you got to be, I wouldn't say militant. That's my word for myself, but you got to be disciplined to not get distracted from it.
Discipline's a good one.
Yeah. Probably better than militant. So that part I would say, know what your goal is and don't waver. Right. So like getting all the documents in Box.
Right.
That was not easy. Right. And I had to have some hard conversations with people and say, no, we're moving your stuff.
And you probably had to repeat yourself a lot.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And we're still not as engaged at the level, like, the training's always so hard because people sometimes gain from it, and sometimes they're just like, yeah, I got to check the box because, it's a compliance thing, right? I got to check the box. So figuring out ways to engage not only your IT organization, but your employees, so that they find value in this. And once you get that grassroots stuff going, then it's word of mouth and people start, but you have to be intentional to get it going, right? And one of my favorite statements from one of my bosses a long time ago was, there are no technology problems. And his implication was, it's the people, right?
Right.
You've got to be aware. It's not that they're a problem. They need communication. They need training. They need to be engaged, right? And those things are sometimes a struggle for very technology-centric people like myself. I find myself, forgetting that, oh yeah, we're doing this for the resident. We're doing this for the employees. Let's, we get ourselves wrapped up in these problems.
So it sounds like there's some advice embedded in there, which is always keep top of mind what your mission is, and that it's about the experience of whoever your users are, your employees, your residents.
Yeah, exactly. I think I've said a lot of times, I'm the advocate for the end user, right? Or in our case, it's residents and employees,
right?
And you have to advocate for them, or else you end up with a technology solution that isn't useful for them.
Right. And speaking of useful, another theme that I always like to touch on from a customer success perspective is value. And how do you make sure that you're delivering value to those residents, to your employees? How do you think about the delivery of value?
It depends on each workflow and each, how we measure it or how we try to find the value in it, right? So it's really, are we moving the needle to a better resident experience, right? We can measure that through SAT scores or through engagement or things like that. And so if they're moving in the right direction, that's the return, right? Just like every other CTO, I've got to do my budgets and I got to, justify my return and all that stuff. But it's really, again, the goal's resident experience. Are we moving that needle? Sometimes this is an investment. Sometimes it's not a straight ROI. Sometimes it's, we're going to spend more money to make the resident experience better, and we don't expect to get it back.
Might not be short term. It might be, you and I were talking about examples where you weren't expecting this, but sometimes you have current residents who are contacting you not about a maintenance issue, but about leasing another property.
Right.
And so do you have return residents, and does that metric go up over time?
Yeah.
So
that's an interesting one, because it was a use case that we didn't plan for digital voice, because your agent, if you're in the leasing workflow, the agent's thinking about leasing.
Right.
But we also do a data dip, and we know when it's a resident that's calling. And so when a resident would call in and start asking about leasing, the AI was like, I don't know what to do.
Actually confused.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had to work through that.
Well, this has been great. Any last words, any other advice? Like if people who are 2 or 3 years behind where you are, what would you say to do?
I've kind of said it a number of times. It's understand your goal, but also get out of the legacy as fast as you can.
Okay.
But you have to be disciplined about it, because everybody's got a reason why they want to stay in whatever platform they're in, or why AI doesn't apply to us, that, AI can't do what we do, all that kind of stuff. it's always there. It's human nature.
Sure.
But you got to bring them with you, right? You got to bring all those people with you. You can't ignore their concerns. You have to address them and have them be part of the team. Because AI is going to, it's not just the biggest technological thing that's happening right now. It's also the biggest change management thing that the country or the world has probably seen.
But also the pace of it is so different than anything that's come before.
Yes.
Yeah.
That part of it, like I said, that's been the challenge, right? Is how do you keep up? And where do you stop? And I won't say stop, but where do you settle in, get some stuff done, and then grow with it?
Right.
It's very interesting time. The best part about AMH for me is all the experience that I've had to come into a company and get to completely re-platform it, right? To essentially start over,
right,
and build a brand new system for an industry that doesn't have that type of system has been just exciting on every level. And then you add AI, and now it's just moving so fast, and it's a wild ride. It's a lot of fun.
And I think the other thing is that it's not just about doing the same things you did before more efficiently. It's literally enabling you to do things that you just
never
couldn't do before.
Yeah.
And that's an incredible enabler for you.
So we have 10,000 HOAs. You have one. You probably think it's terrible.
We have my HOA.
We have 10,000 of them. And so with 200,000 documents across those. So to your point of do things you've never done, we can't summarize all of that. We can't keep all of that up to date without automation, without AI. And so to your point, we are doing things we've never been able to do.
Yeah. Well, we are incredibly thrilled to be partnering with you. Thank you for bringing Box into this platform. Thank you for making Box a key foundational component of your platform, not just once, but 3 times. And we're looking forward to continue to partner with you, and anything you need from us, obviously let us know. But we'll be watching the journey. We'll be cheering you on, and hopefully even enabling even more and more of this AI-driven kind of innovation. So
that's been great. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Always available. I love talking about Box and what we're doing with our platform.
So. Awesome. Same. Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Philip. And that wraps up another episode of the AI First podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if you got value from it, if you'd like to hear more of these conversations, feel free to like, subscribe, and obviously recommend us to your friends and peers. We love doing the podcast. Hope you're getting a lot of value from it. And thanks very much from BoxWorks 2025. Take care. Thanks for tuning into the AI First podcast, where we go beyond the buzz and into the real conversations shaping the future of work. If today's discussion helped you rethink how your organization can lead with AI, be sure to subscribe and share this episode with fellow tech leaders. Until next time, keep challenging assumptions, stay curious, and lead boldly into the AI First era.